Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Deborah Swanson and I will be the host for this session. This presentation is entitled You've Got a Friend in Me, Supporting Online Associate Faculty. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Kelly Olson Stewart.
Thanks, Deb. We're excited to get started and thanks for coming to this session. If you want to, we're going to leave the chat box open, so feel free to jot any questions down as we roll through this, and Deb will help by fielding those, or we can answer at the end as well. So this study was conducted through an Ashford UFP grant that I wrote and received, as I really wanted to focus on gathering the insights of the College of Ed associate faculty, really starting to think about, first of all, what is the College of Ed's associate faculty experience? So how do we get at that? And then thinking about how we could better support them to ensure there's consistency in the student experience. And you know, we have 83% of our course sections being taught by this really important group. And I didn't have a sense of how I could best support in my role. And I felt like we just didn't have quite a handle on insights from this group. And we had a 23% attrition rate. We were in the midst of going through a mentoring reconstruction process of how we can support faculty. I was on the instructional quality review team and really wanted to jump in and see what might be some of our next steps. So the first thing to do was to look at the literature, right, and see what's out there. What do the experts have to say about best practices around faculty retention? And it revealed a few things that are evident to a lot of us. Relationships are always important. Mentoring is important, communication, technical and resources, communication, and ongoing training. So associate faculty overall want to feel connected. All faculty want to feel connected. The literature really helped launch then the questions for the survey. So these are the research questions that I utilized. What are the experience, successes, and challenge of the College of Ed associate faculty? In what ways are college COE associate faculty impacted by the current course support and the IQR process? What resources, practices, strategies, and or systems do or would the associate faculty find valuable to support them? And ultimately, number 4, which is what we're going to talk about today, is how can we cultivate systemic support for this important group? So the methods were 2 surveys that were emailed out. The first survey was sent to all College of Ed associate faculty, and we had a 70% response rate, which is huge, and I was super excited about. That gave me a little bit of an insight right away that this group possibly had not been asked for their input for a while, and boy, did they have a lot to say. There was probably about 60 pages of qualitative responses. So those 70% who responded had quite a bit that they wanted to share, and I'll share some of the trends there. And then the second survey was a little different focus because it was just sent to a 3-month sample of any associate faculty that received an IQR or walkthrough. And it was really to gather their insights just on that overall experience. And there's a 38% return rate for that particular survey. So what is the story of a College of Ed associate faculty member? What did they have to say? So when asked about the benefits of working for Ashford, these are some of the big trends that came out. Flexibility, the professional impact that they have the opportunity to make, and they love Ashford students, and that came up over and over again. The challenges that they report included feeling isolated, which is not unusual in an online environment or if you're new to working online. The class sizes, either associate faculty complained about them being really large or really small. Low pay, Canvas and technical issues. So this was right when we were in the midst of shifting to Canvas. Scheduling practices, either they didn't get notified soon enough, they didn't get enough courses, just overall scheduling issues. The work expectations, and that becomes a trend that comes up often, too much for the 12-hour expectations, and a lack of communication. So let's peek at a few of the questions from the survey, more of the quantitative questions to get a sense of what was asked, and then we can jump into the recommendations so that you can start to think about how these ideas might benefit full-time faculty or associate faculty with who you work. So this is an example, one of the questions that was asked, and this is specifically about indicating your level of satisfaction with working for Ashford on a 1 to 10 scale. So 10, extremely satisfied, down to 1. And so we have about 66% were considered satisfied in the 8 to 10 range. Okay. Another question was, this is specifically about that they are informed on what's happening in the College of Ed, so around communication. And note that the majority of those who completed the survey gave the College of Ed a grade of a B or a C. Another question was around relationships and being connected to College of Ed colleagues. And so if you note here, the majority of our respondees chose C or D. And then all of these questions had additional qualitative options so that they could share their ideas and their thinking, and they did for sure. Another question was asked about how they wanted to receive support. So, you know, are we even trying the right things? Are the strategies, techniques that we're currently using in College of Ed, are they making a difference? And the choices for the preferred methods to receive support were webinars, recorded and live, and then phone call and small group. The next question was around the level of ease in obtaining resources needed for teaching. And you see there we have quite a split. So you have 49% of the group found it easy, and then we have 45% saying that it's challenging, somewhat challenging. And that came up in their qualitative responses as well. There's confusion on where they get support for the courses. What do they do if there are links that are broken? What if they're struggling with a particular week's discussion and wonder if any other instructors have other ideas, so they didn't necessarily know where they would get that information. Another question was around how you feel your input and opinions are valued by the College of Ed. And so you see here that this was the majority gave a C or a D as the score or letter grade. And this one is a letter grade about how effectively your talents are being utilized by the College of Ed. I have to tell you that the C and D, this really stood out to me mainly because we were just doing a leadership training on Covey, and I had read the Multipliers book by Liz Wiseman, and so I found this sad, right, that we have all of these experts that are sitting out behind their screens and that they don't feel like the talents that they are bringing to the table are being utilized by the College of Ed. So then it's the so what, now what, which you always want to jump to when you start looking at the data. The next survey questions were really more qualitative, asking specifically around the IQR and walkthroughs. What we asked the associate faculty, what did they perceive was beneficial about the IQR process? How did that help their teaching? And so you notice here that, and just to take one step back, the IQR process is really, and this was defined in the survey, the self-reflection that they complete, an evaluation conference or phone call, and or an email if they just had a walkthrough. So the associate faculty indicated that they believe it does improve their teaching, it's constructive, it encourages them to be self-reflective, they find it helpful to focus on specific areas for growth, and it does help highlight their strengths and validates them with tips and ideas. Then when asked what were the challenges about this, associate faculty reported that the process, that they thought that there was inconsistency in their evaluators. They didn't appreciate arrogance or tone that they perceived in evaluators. And so remember, their evaluators would all be full-time faculty within the College of Ed. They believe that there is an expectation for them to have full-time work. It looks like a full-time job, but they're only 12 hours. And so they wanted to see examples of how an associate faculty would look, rather than they felt like when a full-time faculty was showing them, it wasn't the same. Some people perceived that it was a list of all their wrongs, that there was a lack of acknowledgement if their courses were really large or really small, and there was no follow-up. So we're all asked to create a goal in the IQR process, and there was no follow-up to that, to the goal setting, and there was nothing mid-year. And so those are some of the challenges that came up in the survey. So what now what, right? This is the part that gets exciting. So we have a snapshot of data. We have a ton of stories. We have 75 pages of overall survey data, and we get a sense of the stories of what it's like to be a College of Ed associate faculty member. But now, how do we respond? How do we adjust our supports? How might we rethink some of our initiatives? Being mindful that there still are 30% of our associate faculty that we didn't hear from at all. And so let's dig in to take a look at that. So this is an infographic that really was designed to have a snapshot of what kind of support do associate faculty, what are they asking for? And so we'll just start at the top, and you can see the components are then broken out. So simply ongoing professional development, webinars, tutorials, help, communication, emails, phone calls, video, resources, some kind of associate faculty community, and social opportunities. And I'll talk a little more about that. Overall college communication. So what was confusing to many associate faculty that was coming up repeatedly is they don't know who's in charge. They don't understand the org chart. They've never seen an org chart. They may or may not have heard from leadership that they're craving that insight, college leadership, big college leadership and little college leadership. They want to hear, what are the initiatives? What's the vision? What's happening? And it's like a really interesting balance of over communicating and having your inbox flooded with emails, and then under communicating. And so somewhere in there is the sweet spot, I think. They want input on course revisions and have opinions about that. If we jump to the other one with the thumbtack, they want clarity around the expectations for their position, around the IQR walkthrough process. They want to understand what their scoring means. They want transparency. They want to see exemplars. They really want to know what great discussion feedback looks like. They want to know what engagement looks like in the course. How do other associate faculty manage to get in more than 6 times or 6 responses? And they really want to know what their status is compared to other associate faculty. So not revealing any information. They just want to know an overall trend, like, am I a mediocre associate faculty, or am I a high achiever? Where do I fall? And then just overall TLC. So associate faculty want clarity. They want to know who to talk to. They want a person, right? Think about Meredith and Christina if you watch Grey's Anatomy. Who's their person? They just want to know that there's a person that they can always reach out to. And I know for many of them, it ends up being the FSDA folks, and they reach out to them for everything just because they're their people, right? They're great people, huge hearts. And so everyone wants a person. They just want to feel like they know that someone is out there when they are struggling with something. They want an opportunity to talk through challenges. They want an opportunity to share when things are going great and they have amazing things happening in their classroom. Who is their person that they share with? And they want to feel that they are part of a community. They want to know that they're valued and that they are utilized for their expertise and valued for that expertise. And they said they would love to be invited to social opportunities. So I think the meet and greets are even being responsive to that. They want to come to graduations if they can. They just want to feel included. So this is a little more specifically from all of the information that was received, all of the pages. So it's some of the additional kind of thoughts that came up. I'm just going to peek at these and see if there's anything else specifically. They asked about open forums where they could post and get a response quickly. There was definitely confusion of where they would receive their resources, like for a course, or where if they were having problems with content in a course, where they might look for additional support around that. I think, yep, I mentioned the example expectations. So specific to the IQR process, again, just gathering information, and then as a group, as a college, deciding, okay, how will these make a difference? What can we tweak in the process to perhaps help? So one of the things that came up was the idea of using the Same Evaluator. So each year you would see the same full-time faculty as your evaluator so that you forge a greater relationship and can show growth. Asking folks to do multiple reviews during the year so that there's less of a gap and less of a surprise or a shock feeling like you haven't been doing something well. They want to feel that their experience is honored. They want to spend a little more time and focus on the self-reflection part, which I found really intriguing, that they felt like they had a lot of additional evidences that they wanted to contribute and share out, especially now with Civitas and some of the emailing opportunities, that would make sense. And then that ranking piece. This is the TLC piece, and I think if you walk away from this session with nothing else, ultimately relationships are the key. And that isn't a super surprise. And it is even more, I don't know if it's more important or additionally dot the I important when we have this screen between us. And so how can we be really intentional about building our relationships with purposeful communication, lots of ongoing support? You're right. I mean, we have webinars, and, I had a MAID webinar, and, I invited 100. I have 100 associate faculty, and we got like 9, but the 9 were really happy to be there. And I'm hoping that those 9 have other associate faculty friends that they'll tell, and, that it will grow. So it takes time. Times don't always work for people. People are traveling, they have lives, their dogs are barking, all kinds of things, right? But we're going to keep offering those in order to be responsive to the request for ongoing communication, ongoing PD. They want active course leads. So regardless of what course they're teaching, they want to know who that person is that they can reach out to about course issues. Overall, I'm stuck with this, or content or broken links. They just want to know who their person is specific to that course. And the supportive emails do matter. I know we've talked about not getting responses back from people, but the reality is that they're reading them, because that came up in the survey data, that they appreciated the supportive emails. So that picture at the bottom there, the 4 cornerstones of effective mentoring programs are professional development, effective communication, building balance, and forming relationships. So we're hitting exactly what's in the literature there. So we know that faculty are our first connection to students. The associate faculty represent Ashford, and for some students, that's their first person, is an associate faculty who they meet. So how do we make sure that our associate faculty feel actively involved, positive about Ashford, positive about teaching, understanding of the Ashford students, understand the vision and mission, the college, what we're striving to do? It's on us, right? We have to figure that out. We have to help associate faculty along. So hopefully these ideas and considerations that have emerged from the survey resonate with your work and your efforts, goals, and your planning for the future, considering how can we provide the highest level of instruction to students every single course. And there's not a one-fit answer. It's a work in progress. It's never finished. And so the cycle continues. The plan, do, act, check. The more we know, the more we can grow. So I welcome your ideas, your comments, insights, suggestions for part 2, part 3, part 4 of the research to go on, and any ideas that you have to help us all support our associate faculty.
Hey, Kelly, in the chat, we've had some interest in your slides that you shared. And also, Robert Jackson was referring to, he believes your presentation is very powerful, and I agree. And he's interested in conducting a similar type survey within Homeland Security. So perhaps you two can touch base.
Absolutely. Yeah, reach out to me. I'd be glad to share that survey. There was nothing revolutionary about it, but it was quick. So I was hoping that because of the shortness of the survey, perhaps maybe that's why we got a good response as well when people looked at it and thought, okay, I can get through this in 10 minutes. Oh, good, Heather Mason, I see your comment there. I would like to chat with you as well. There's what I could do specifically, if there's certain areas, I can dig through all of that qualitative data and specifically pull out comments that would be useful, like specifically Heather around scheduling. I'm glad to do that as well. I'm gonna start at the bottom, and then if there's other things from the top, that's good too. Maybe Deb, you could jump in if there's other questions I missed. So ideas on how associate faculty can be proactive in seeking TLC. Well, I think finding your person. I think that as a previous associate faculty for another university, I just found a person, right, who would respond to my emails, and I latched on to them. And I needed that. I needed somebody who I knew that was going to respond every time I sent the email. Sally is that for me. When I first started even, I found my Sally and I emailed her all the time, even things that weren't in her area, but she always would put me in touch with the right person. So if you are an associate faculty member, I think I would seek out someone who either you see emails coming in from, or when you reach out, they're being responsive to you, and make them your person. And until told otherwise, right? They'll redirect you if there's somewhere else that you should be going for ideas and support. Oh, good, Debbie. Yep, I think it will be helpful for FSD work next year. And the idea of reaching out and surveying associate faculty and really gathering specific insights from them before we make the plan is great that we have it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes we have ideas of what we think associate faculty want, especially because many of us have been in that role. And this just gives us additional information. So I think we can make better informed decisions moving forward. I did, Alan. I gathered a lot of stuff in 10 minutes, and some people I think took like 25 based on the paragraphs that they submitted, but they could be done in 10 minutes. I'm just scrolling back here, seeing if there's anything else that's missing. You asked, Kathleen, you asked, are the infographics posted somewhere? Not at this point. I mean, I have one hanging in my office, but that doesn't help too much. I'm glad to share that though. It just is like I think it's a JPEG file because I made it on Canva. And so if you're interested in that, if you'll just send me an email, I can send it to your way, but it's not posted anywhere currently. Robert, you make a point too about getting things done within the 12-hour work week. That I was surprised at the number of IQRs I have done myself and working as a mentor with associate faculty. That does continue coming up. That associate faculty want someone to say, yes, you can reply to more than 6 people over 3 days in your 12 hours. Yes, you can provide a level of feedback that meets proficient on that rubric within your 12 hours. So it's one thing for a full-time faculty member to tell them something. It feels different though, if you can connect it to the 12-hour piece. And certainly we have associate faculty who work a ton over. And I mean, in education, I've always worked under the nobody's clocking me, and it's over a 40-hour work week. That's just kind of the nature of the business. However, I think it's important to honor that that's an expectation, and make sure that we're providing examples that reflect associate faculty's work. Alan, you make a point too about it would be neat to provide associate faculty input that changes have been made based on the survey data has been received and heard and is being responded to. think that's great. I think Deb Swanson, I think I hit everything that is there so far.
I believe you have touched upon most of the items that came in. I'm not seeing anything that you overlooked, so wonderful. Thank you.
Well, if there's nothing else for the group or any other questions, anybody else wants to jump on the line, I'm glad to stay. And if you are ready to go forth and tackle the rest of your day or evening, depending on your time zone, please do.
Kelly, I want to thank you very much for your wonderful, informative presentation and for posting your contact information. I'm sure many of the participants are going to feel compelled to reach out and pick your brain additionally. Anyway, thank you for everyone for attending. Another TLC session will begin in 15 minutes.
Thank you.